We're going to continue covering the speaking section. This is the second and last video for the speaking section. In this video, we're going to cover the speaking strategy and question types. We're going to give an overview of the general strategy and the specific strategy for each task and each question type. So to begin with, as you may have seen in the previous video, the basic strategy focuses on 4 points. Take notes. Remember, do not memorize. I cannot stress this enough. You do not want to memorize. Even if you can memorize, you don't want to do it. Most of us really cannot even memorize, okay? But we still don't want to rely on your memory. Remember, memory is fragile. Memory is not completely reliable, so we're going to rely on our notes. We're going to use keywords. I'm going to prepare order and vocabulary. This is important for the preparation time. We're going to explain this in a little bit in a couple minutes. And remember, minding the time while speaking. So you want to check the time so you don't get caught in the middle of a sentence and you don't have a lot of time before you finish speaking. Now, applying this strategy, we're going to see how to apply this strategy for each specific task. Okay, remember there are 4 tasks. There's only 1 independent task and 3 integrated tasks. You can see that in the previous video. Here we're going to develop each task independently. So the first task is an independent task, which means you're not going to have to read anything and you're not going to have to listen to anything. This is just a question and you just have to answer the question using your own ideas, your own reasons, your own examples. The first task is asking for your opinion. This is the only one that asks for your opinion. Okay, this is your opinion. None of the other tasks will ask for your opinion. Okay, this is very important. And so since it's asking for your opinion, you have to have your own reasons and your own examples. And remember, be specific about reasons and be specific about examples. What does it mean to be specific about reasons and examples? I'm going to explain that in a moment. Okay, so before we go to what it looks like, I'm going to play you the task. I'm going to play you the audio, but also I want you to take notes. Your notes have to look something like this. You're going to copy your opinion. Okay, so you either agree or disagree, one or the other. You're going to copy your reasons. Your reason has to be specific. Okay, here's what I explain. What does it mean to have any specific reasons? It means you don't want to say something like, oh, no, because I don't like it, or because, yeah, I have never thought about it. I mean, don't provide a reason that is not really a reason. Your reason should be something like, no, because I think it's negative or it has a negative impact on something like fossil fuels have a negative impact, or I disagree with the use of television to educate children because like the light from television may hurt their eyes. Like you have to have a real reason. And specific examples means you don't want to say something like people in general watch a lot of television and therefore they don't perform in arts or they don't do other activities. You want to say my brother, my father, my sister, me or I. So you make it specific, okay? Make it personal. When I say make it personal, I don't mean you don't have to talk about yourself, but you definitely have to talk about someone. Okay, you have to talk about a specific person. An important thing you have to remember is that you can lie. Okay, it's very important that you can lie. I'm not even going to put this in quotation marks. What does it mean that you can lie? It means that you don't even have to have an opinion. You don't have to have a reason, and you definitely don't have to have an example. You can come up with them. You can get them from a movie. You can get them from a novel, you can get it from a TV show, you can just get it out of the thin air, just create a new kind of an opinion, create a reason and create an example. You don't have to tell the truth, okay? This is very important. And this, of course, only applies for the first task in the speaking section. You can see you can apply this also in another task for the writing section, but definitely here, because this is your opinion. There's no basic information that you're going to use. So if you cannot have an opinion, just choose one and move on. If you cannot think of a reason, just create one and move on, or pretend you're someone else who does have an opinion, or pretend you're in a movie and you must have an opinion. The same thing with the examples. If you cannot think of a person who had gone through some examples, just think of a movie, think of a book, think of a TV show. Okay. And now we're going to go to the question. So what does the question look like? The question looks like this. They're going to tell you where to agree or disagree to a specific thing. I'm about to play the audio for you to listen to, okay, in a moment. So you're going to listen to it.
Directions. You will now be asked a question about a familiar topic. After you hear the question, you will have 15 seconds to plan your response and 45 seconds to speak. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Coworkers make the best friends. Provide details and examples to explain your opinion. You have 15 seconds to prepare your response. You may begin preparing now.
Okay, and now you're supposed to begin preparing. I'm gonna let you prepare for 15 seconds, so try to prepare. And remember, your notes have to look like this, okay? And after these 15 seconds, I'm gonna show you my notes. Okay, go. Okay, so I'm going to show you my notes. Since this is a video, you cannot speak to me, but I do advise you to record your answers, okay? But basically for this video, I'm just going to explain my notes. So notes should be something like this. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but they have to be like this, and I'm going to explain a little bit more of this. So your opinion, you just say I agree or disagree. So basically that's all you have to have in your notes. Remember, these are your notes. This is not what you're going to say exactly. This is just the notes you're taking. So here I'm going to show you something. You may have the same reason and use it for agreeing and use the same reason for disagreeing. For example, I'm going to use the time together. If I agree, I'm going to say, since we're spending a lot of time, I agree. So I spend a lot of time with my coworkers, so I get to know them better. So that's a reason for making them my best friends. Now I'm going to use the same reason, time together, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm spending too much time together. Like we're spending too much time together, so they actually annoy me. So we could never be best friends. So you see, you don't have to follow a strict path. So you just have to come up with a reason and twitch it in order to make it a reason for your opinion. Now, the examples for agreeing, for example, will be my best friend is a guy I work with for 10 years. Again, it doesn't have to be real, doesn't have to be your real best friend. And an example for disagreeing will be my best friend is a guy from college, while I cannot stand my coworkers. Again, my advice for you is try to record your speakings and check them on your own, or maybe you can get a friend to check them for you, or you can get a tutor to check them for you. Okay, but even if you cannot pay a class, or you don't have the time to schedule a class, try to still record yourself. Okay, try to practice just the art of speaking, and try to practice listening to yourself in order to find mistakes or what could you improve. Okay, so focusing on the strategy, while you speak, when you prepare to speak, you're going to focus on keywords, which means which words from all my notes are the words that I'm definitely going to use. So let's say I'm going to use this, I'm going to say time together, know better, annoy. I'm definitely going to use these words, okay? And you're going to put them in order, which means, okay, this is what I already put them in order here, but this is what you're going to say first. This is number 2, this is number 3, and maybe there's a number 4 somewhere else, okay? You want to put your notes in order to know what you're going to say first and what you're going to say second, so you don't kind of get the thing in this order. And finally, you're going to mind your time, which means you're going to get to see the time on the screen when you're performing. So remember, you do not want to finish on exactly the time. Okay, so if you see you're missing 5 more seconds, do not start a new idea. Okay, just stop whatever idea you're already talking about and just finish it. Okay, also try not to end like within 10 seconds of it. Like try to end, probably leave 3 seconds out or 2 seconds. If you get really if you practice a lot, you're going to be able to just finish on the spot, but don't practice finishing on the spot. Okay, practice leaving at least 2 seconds. Okay, we're going to go to the second task. The second task is an integrated task. In this case, you will have a reading and you will have a conversation. This task is also about an opinion, but it's no longer about your opinion. It's about someone else's opinion, so it's not your opinion. So instead of providing your reasons and your examples, you will provide the reasons and examples from the person, okay? From the person who's going to provide the reasons and example. Remember, you still have to be specific, but this time you cannot say my friend or my brother. You have to just provide whatever examples or whatever reasons they provided, okay? So what does it look like? It looks like this. First, you will have a reading, okay? You will have a reading. It's usually a notice from college. It's usually about something to do with classes or something to do with the bus or the traffic or professors or the campus or the cafeteria, okay? And you're going to take notes on the reading. So you see the reading and you take notes on the reading, okay? And then you're going to listen to the conversation. So right now we're going to practice this. I want you to read this and I want you to take notes. So your notes are going to look like this. You're going to write down just the main point of the notice, okay? Just has to be like 2 or 3 words, just one sentence. What is the main point? And then the reasons. Again, maybe you just have 2 or 3 reasons. You definitely don't want to copy the whole thing. You're gonna focus just on the main points and the reason. Okay, I'm gonna give you some time to copy to read and take notes. Okay, go. You're gonna have 30 seconds. Go. Okay. My advice is take notes as you read. Like, don't read everything first and then take notes. Just read, read, read. Okay, I have an important thing. I have an important thing here. So I like try to take notes while you read. Okay, your notes should look something like this. Again, not exactly like this, but should look something like this. Again, as you see, they're very minimal because the important thing is not the notice. The important thing is the opinion. Okay, so you have. And the main point is academic advisor is required. Why? Because the students enroll in wrong courses, because the students used to take advanced level this means without lower level classes, and because advisors will help in the long-term goals of the students. Okay, those are my 3 reasons, and this is my main point. Okay, now we're going to listen to the conversation. I'm going to play the conversation. Now, while you listen to the conversation, you want to take notes on the conversation. Your notes for the conversation have to look something like this. You have the man speaking, you have the woman speaking. Beforehand, you don't know who's the one that's going to give the opinion, but you're just gonna copy, just like we did with the listening, what he said versus what she says. Okay. Wait. Okay. Now I'm gonna play the audio right now. Okay. Go.
Now listen to a conversation about the same topic.
Hey Kyle, did you know that the students have to consult with an advisor to create their schedules now?
Yeah, I heard, and I totally agree. Plenty of other schools do the same thing. It makes picking courses so much easier.
Really? But don't you think most of us want to choose our own schedules?
You see, that's the problem. Students choose what they want instead of what they need. It's been a total mess. For example, last semester, there were about 5 students in my World History 2 class that never took World History 1. Needless to say, they struggled the whole semester.
Are you saying that someone can choose History 2 without completing History 1?
Yes, and that's insane. In my History 2 class, these students kept asking questions about things we had already gone over in the introductory course. They were a complete distraction.
I guess I see your point.
I mean, besides that, now students get a chance to speak with an advisor so they can figure out how the classes they take may benefit them in their future career. Last semester, I wanted to take a class called History of Rock and Roll because it sounded cool, but my advisor pointed out that it wasn't a requirement and wouldn't help me much in the future if I wanted to get involved in public policy.
All right. You sold me. So when should we make our appointments to see the advisor?
Okay, so now I hope we're gonna check the notes. So I'm gonna show you my notes again. Your note doesn't have to look exactly like this, okay? But they're definitely a guidance. So we have the man agrees, okay, and like this is everything the man said. But we're gonna focus on something when we answer. Well, sorry, I'm gonna show you my notes first. Man picks easier instead of need. World History 2 without World History 1. Struggle, questions already mentioned. Distraction, benefits of future career, and history of rock and roll. No public policy. Now, when we prepare, okay, like this is the notes, that's it. Then you're gonna have the question. The question is, the man expresses his opinion on the announcement from the Student Services Department, state his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion. Remember, the question is state his opinion, so you have to give his opinion and then explain the reasons, okay? So you have to do both. Don't just say agree, disagree, but you have to give the reasons and examples. Now, you're gonna have 30 seconds to prepare. Your preparation has to look like this. You're gonna find the keywords, the order vocabulary, and of course, mind your time. Oops, you should have seen that. And remember, the keywords are like the opinion, his opinion and reasons. So those are your keywords. And you're going to put this in order, and you're going to choose the vocabulary you're going to see. Now, what you have to do is you have to spot the opinion. Okay, so this is the opinion. I already have the opinion. Now I have my reasons. Okay, these are my reasons. And now I have my examples. These are my examples. Okay, now you don't have to put everything in order. You just have to kind of circle, and then, okay, this is what I'm going to say first, this is what I'm going to say second, this is also what I'm going to say second, and this is what I'm going to say third. Okay, so your notes end looking something like this. This is the opinion, agree. The reasons makes it easier to pick. Students want choose what they want instead of what they need, and it benefits for the future career. An example, you're going to give the example of Work History 2 versus Work History 1 and the history of rock and roll that he was about to take. Now, this is just a model, but you're basically just going to do this, like put this in order in these notes. You don't have to take two sets of notes. Okay, you just have one set of notes, and then you have to prepare according to those notes. Okay, we are going to go to the third task. The third task is also an integrated task. It contains a reading and a lecture. This time, there is no opinion, okay? The reading is not going to be about a notice from campus, and the lecture is definitely not going to be a conversation. The reading is going to be a topic from a college class. Can be science, can be arts, can be history, can be psychology, can be geology, can be biology, can be whatever. And then the lecture is going to reinforce the topic in the reading. Okay, so this has the following structure. The reading is going to provide a definition. This is in the reading, and probably some reasons. And the lecture is definitely going to provide examples. This goes in the lecture. Okay, and remember to be specific. So what the first thing you're going to do, you're going to write notes for the reading. So the reading looks like this. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to read this, don't worry. But your notes have to look like this. You're going to just basically going to get the main definition or the main concept from the reading. Okay, that's all you have to do. Okay, now I'm going to give you 30 seconds to read and take notes on the main definition, the main point on the reading. Okay, go. Okay, so I hope you have your notes. Again, you just have to write the main thing, the main point. So your main point has to look something like this. What is the main definition or concept? We're talking about, what is it? Compassionate consumerism. So what is the definition? Is that a portion of the purchase goes to a charitable cause. That's it. That's all you had to write, okay? Now, what does the lecture look like? You're going to listen to a lecture. I'm going to play it in a moment. And remember, you're going to take notes. The notes are all related to the definition that we provided above. So the notes have to look something like this. There's going to be an introduction, like a relationship to the previous reading, like the reading says, the reading states, or this is the thing I'm going to talk about. There are going to be a few reasons, not a lot. And then there are going to be a lot of examples, okay? Maybe 2 or 3. Now, we're going to focus on the examples, definitely. So if you miss something, it's okay that you miss the intro or the reasons, but you cannot miss the examples because the whole thing is about explaining examples, okay? Now, I'm going to play the audio for the lecture. Okay, go.
Now listen to a lecture about this topic in a business class.
Now, as the reading suggests, many companies have embraced the idea of compassionate consumerism over the past few years. Studies show that customers are generally supportive of such efforts, especially very young shoppers. Not only that, but companies make a lot of additional profits from this kind of compassionate marketing. Some companies even thrive off of it. Now, take ABC Shoes, for example. They're kind of like the pioneer of this type of consumerism. You know the shoes, right? Those flat, simple slip-on shoes, which are based on a type of traditional Argentinian footwear called an alpargata. Anyway, ABC Shoes achieved a huge market share about 7 years ago with their one-for-one business model. Basically, if you buy a pair of ABC Shoes, they donate another pair of shoes to an impoverished individual. While this program has cost ABC Shoes a lot of money to administer, they've also made so much profit that they've expanded to include not only shoes, but also eyewear and coffee. speaking of coffee, another famous company that has adopted the compassionate consumerism model is Bob's Coffee. Now, the one-for-one model doesn't make much sense for a cup of coffee, but a portion of the cost of certain items is sometimes donated to various nonprofit organizations. Since Bob's deals closely with coffee bean farmers in South America, they have recently launched a campaign where 10% of all purchases are donated to preserving the South American rainforest. And, would you believe it, on the day they announced the campaign, there was a line out the door at Bob's Coffee right here on campus.
Okay, so now we're going to check the notes. Your notes, again, don't have to look exactly like mine. They're just a guide. So here are the notes. Okay, the introduction, many companies embrace the compassionate consumerism. The reasons because they have customer support and they can make additional profits. The examples, we have two main examples, ABC Shoes and Bob's Coffee. We have a kind of the way in which they are applying the compassionate consumerism. Okay, now what does the question look like? The question will look like this. Using the examples from the lecture, explain what compassionate consumerism is and how it works. So key things, we're going to use examples to explain what it is and how it works. So what are the keywords? Examples, what it is, and how it works. And now we're going to go to our notes to put everything in order. So we're going to explain what it is. We kind of have the definition here from above. It's a portion of the purchase goes to a charitable cause. And here we have the two examples. So what are the things that we have to check? We have to check that we've mentioned important things. So ABC Shoes, you don't have to say that it's a pioneer, but it's okay. But the most important thing is that they have a one-for-one model. You buy one, you donate one. It has a lot of profit, and they switch to eyewear and coffee. Now, you go to Bob's Coffee. Bob's Coffee does not have the one-for-one because you cannot just donate one cup of coffee. A portion of the purchase goes to a non-profit. They deal with farmers from South America, and 10% of all purchases go to preserve the South American rainforest. Okay, you don't have to say the line outside, but that's just extra information that if you can't provide it in the allotted time, you can just go ahead and do it. Okay. Now we're going to go to the fourth task. The fourth task is also an integrated task, but this does not contain a reading. Okay, this is only a lecture. Now you only have to listen to a lecture and then just give the information back. You do not provide your opinion. Okay, this is not your opinion. This is not someone else's opinion. There's no opinion. So you're going to have a definition plus reasons, or reasons, examples, and cases of whatever definition they are doing. Okay. Remember to be specific about the reasons and examples. Remember, do not provide your own reasons or your own examples. They are all provided in the lecture. And remember, this is taken from a college class, so it can be about science or art or history or any other topic that you may find in college. And they are going to give you a definition, and then they're going to develop the definition. An important thing here is that when you take the notes, okay, make sure that if you're expecting a list, like they say, okay, there are 3 examples or there are 4 theories, okay, you make the list. So if you hear that the professor says, I'm about to talk about 4 examples, you write down, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know you're expecting 4, okay, or expecting 3 or expecting 2. Okay, what does it look like? The lecture, we're going to listen to a lecture in a moment. Remember, your notes have to look like this. In this case, I know because of the lecture that they're going to talk about 2 different theories. So you have a definition, you have theory 1 and theory 2. So we make sure to write all the notes that you can. Okay, so I'm going to play it right now.
Directions. You will now listen to part of a lecture. You will then be asked a question about it. After you hear the question, you'll have 20 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds to speak. Now listen to part of a lecture in a psychology class.
Today we're going to talk about human aggression. Now you probably see aggression every day when people are angry in cars or pushy on the subway. Well, to be a bit more formal, aggression is considered any negative or harmful behavior that causes psychological or physical harm to another person or ourselves. While you may understand what aggression is, there is the question of why it even exists. In the field of psychology, there are 2 main theories as to why aggression exists. Many researchers believe that aggression is a product of evolution. Most agree that men are more likely than women to act aggressively, and this is most likely due to the need for males to display dominance over others. In the past, and still a bit today, Men felt the need to act aggressive in order to both protect their mate and perpetuate their genes. Females tended to gravitate towards males they felt could keep them and their eventual offspring safe. The world was much more dangerous back then, and safety was of paramount concern, which is why more aggressive males were more likely to pass on their genes to future generations. There are psychoanalysts who disagree with this, however. Another popular account of why aggression exists is known as social learning theory, which takes the stance that aggression is something human beings learn to do, not something innate or instinctual. For example, research has proven that aggressive reactions are more common in certain social environments. Children who observe violence at home are more likely to exhibit violent behavior. Further still, children from homes that are relatively calm, but who are exposed to violence through movies or video games, also demonstrate aggressive behavior more often.
Now,
Okay.
answer.
Now you're going to answer the question. First, we're going to check the notes. Okay, we're going to check that the notes... Okay, again, you don't have to have the exact same notes, but you do have to have similar notes. So everything is about aggression, okay? That's kind of the definition. The definition is that it's any negative or harmful, either physical or psychological, to others or to self. Please make sure to have the important thing, okay? And most importantly, let's say you don't have everything, because they actually say the definition pretty fast. So if you didn't hear the whole thing, that's okay. Like if you didn't hear like, okay, physical or psychological, maybe you just heard, physical, and didn't hear psychological, or just heard others, make sure to don't use any word, any extreme word like only physical or only psychological, because they never say the word only, okay? So if you didn't hear the whole thing, if you only heard part of it, that's okay, as long as you don't make the mistake of pretending that it's all. So we have two theories: theory 1, evolution; theory 2, social learning. These are all the reasons or explanations for the theory 1, and these are all the reasons and explanations for theory 2. And now we're going to see the question. The question was like, using points and examples from the talk, explain the two main theories as to why aggression exists. So the keywords are these. Like, you had to use points and examples from the lectures to explain the two main theories as to why aggression exists. So we're going to have to explain the two theories, okay? We have the definition, and then we have the first theory. The first theory goes like this: men are more aggressive than women. Women love men to keep them safe. This is because, men are more aggressive because of dominance. They protect their mate and their genes. Usually more aggression will lead to more likelihood of passing on genes, and psychoanalysts disagree. The theory 2 about social learning is that the aggression is learned, not innate. The research suggests that aggressive comes from certain social environments, and violence at home goes or kind of leads to more violence. Also violence in movies and video games leads to more violence. Okay, remember to make sure to cover at least most of these topics. Okay, remember to practice. So you remember to use your notes. Do not memorize. Don't rely on your notes. Remember, you can lie, of course, only in the first task. You can only lie in the first task. The other ones are about what you heard or what you read. Remember that only the information in text audios exists. Remember, this is a principle that we've been dragging from the reading section, and it's very important. Remember to be specific, and remember to record yourself. Here, about recording yourself, let's say you don't have a tutor, you don't have a friend, you don't have anybody to listen to your audios. So how are you going to make sure that you're improving, or how are you going to make sure that you're not making a mistake? So you're going to use this, okay? You're going to use the notes. So you make sure that you're using definitions, you're using the theory 1, you're using theory 2, or in the previous cases, make sure that you're giving the opinion, like in the opinion cases, right? So make sure that, where is this? Make sure that you're giving, the opinion, the reasons, and examples. Like, try to have a kind of a way of checking whether you're actually doing all of those. Now, another thing that you're going to do, again, if you have to work on your own, or you don't have anyone to practice with, you're going to use POE. Okay, remember POE from reading and listening. The process of elimination. Usually we do this with multiple alternatives, right? We have a multiple choice question, then we eliminate for wrong word, extreme, etc. But we can use this for our speaking and writing too. If you can just check on your own, or you can check with a friend, and you check his or her audio, and he or she can check yours. So make sure to use POE again. So the same thing applies. If you're using a word that wasn't in the audio, that's wrong. You shouldn't use it. If you're using an extreme that wasn't in the audio, again, if you're saying all men are more aggressive than all women, okay, that's not what the audio say. That's it. That's wrong. You have to change it. If you're talking about something that is out of scope, talking about, okay, maybe animals are aggressive towards other animals, they never talk about animals. It's just about humans. Again, not a good thing to say. Again, this is not about eliminating alternatives, but it's about eliminating information, unnecessary information or wrong information. So you're going to use POE, okay? Again, I'm going to make a whole video about POE, but you can definitely check the previous videos on the reading and listening sections. Now, practice on more. How you can practice? I advise you to use TOEFL. TOEFL channels, like YouTube TOEFL channels. You have these are my two favorite, like Learn TOEFL with Daniel and Jason TOEFL class. Now, I do have a comment. Most of these are actually the old TOEFL, okay? The old TOEFL before 2019. Now, there's a specific thing about the old TOEFL in 2019. When you do the speaking section of the old TOEFL, you have to avoid doing question 1 and question 5 of the old TOEFL, which means if you're doing with the old TOEFL, you will only do questions 2, 3, 4, and 6, because the old TOEFL used to have 6 questions and now they only have 4, so they eliminated 1 and 5, okay? So remember, you can totally practice with all videos or all models for the exam as long as you don't do question 1 and question 5. Okay, so that's it for the speaking section. Hope you like this video. You can leave any comments, any questions in the comments. Remember to like and share and subscribe. And we're going to finish the TOEFL series with the writing videos probably in a day or two. Okay, that's it. So thank you for watching and goodbye.